Hey guys, it's Clay on the trail. Had a lot going on lately. Haven't put a lot of videos out recently. It's just been a kind of a strange time for everybody. Um, the other day, my wife got a positive test result for the coronavirus, so I am feeling fine, not really worried about it. People in our age group and the health that we have a 99.95% survival rating, so I'm not horrifically worried about anything, but I do have some time where I'm not really supposed to go anywhere. So I been sitting out in my shop working on a couple of projects. So one of the things I have been looking forward to it's winter time. We're I think the 2nd of December. Looking forward to some winter camping. I love winter camping. It's quiet, it's peaceful, not a lot of people around. Take large amounts of food, and weight just doesn't seem to be an issue when you're winter camping. So I enjoy it, but I've been thinking about a design for an ammo can stove. That's just, most people cut a hole in the top and cut a hole for the door and put some bolts on the bottom for legs, and away we go. I'm looking for a catalytic style heat where it'll draw hot air, inject it into the flame, into the box, and then reburn the smoke. They burn a lot cleaner and more efficiently. So came up with this design. I've watched several videos on it. I didn't invent this by any means. I started drilling 3 holes in the bottom of my can. I welded a washer to these bolts. They stick up 1 inch from the bottom. And I've designed this out of some roofing metal that I have. It's what I do for a living now. Have done for several years, but it's what I solely do now. And the idea is that this will sit about 1 inch off the bottom of the stove. There are holes down here in the bottom. This is where my door will be. That will draft the air through here. The fire will be heating in this area right here. Air will come up here. As it comes through the box, it gets superheated, causing the air to rise. So it will draw through here and then be injected into the fire, which will be burning again right here to burn the smoke, and then it will draft up on this ledge, and out the pipe will come out there. Part of the only issues that I'm running into, a couple of things. I decided if you have 4 legs on a chair and the floor is uneven, the chair will always wobble. So that's why 3-legged stools were popular for, milking cows and things like that, because the barn floor isn't always going to be flat. Well, anywhere I put this stove isn't going to be on my garage floor, so it's not going to be level. So I went with the 3-legged design. The one flaw I'm finding with it could be a potentially disastrous design flaw. So I will probably end up welding a little bar on the front of this to just give it a little bit more stability. I don't want it to tip over while I'm cooking on it. It will have a flat surface here to cook on. With the stovepipe and everything going up through a tent or through a Quincy, I have intents of doing another Quincy camp this year, and I'm going to add on a little fireplace and run my stove in it. Not enough to heat it up to where it'll melt, but enough to keep the chill off of it. So adding a leg to it will make a huge difference. Problem number 2, ammo boxes. Well, they're not flat on the inside. They got all these depressions and impressions, and that. And I didn't do that with my sides, so I'm going to have to use a high temperature silicone to seal all this, to get the drafts to work the way they are. Also, I'm not legally quarantined. I have not tested positive for anything, so I could run to town if I want to, but I don't live close to town. It's an hour, basically an hour drive there and back, plus whatever time I spend shopping. I've gone through my shop. I have stuff for all sorts of builds. I cannot find any small hinges, so I am going to make some hinges. They're not hard to make. They just take a little bit of time. And I want to do that. I've cut this side of the door and this side of the door. I haven't cut the top or the bottom. I want to weld these hinges on with the door in place, and then I'll finish cutting it out. And that way when it's cut out, it'll be right where it needs to go. So let's make some hinges. Here is the hinges. They're very rough, but we're making a stove. I drilled a hole in each of these ears, and I'll just put a tack of a weld in each one. It'll hold them down. Trim the nails up. I'll drill some holes in these, line them up on this, and tack them to the door. All right, everybody can make fun of my welds. It's hard to weld 39 gauge steel to heavy steel, so it's ugly, but it works. I'm working on a latch, and I've added a piece there that covers the door, so the air will flow the right way, and got everything in. I'm going to finish the latch on the door, put some high temperature silicone around the edges, and don't know if we're going to get to a burn today or not. The wind is blowing 15-20 miles an hour out of the east, and it's about 20 degrees outside with the wind chill. It's barely above zero if it actually is. So we'll see how that goes. Pretty simple little tack job with some pieces of angle and some nuts and bolt. I got the inside sealed with the 2000 degree sealant, and I had, let's see here, a weird chimney piece that had, let's see, it went like this, and it had an angle piece on it like this. So I cut this piece out and cut this off, well, relatively square. Then I cut a hole in my lid. I inserted this little, I guess it was a butt joint, in through the hole, like so, and I will be able to attach then the pipe to it. I'll get better pipe. I wanted to take a minute though and talk about this. There's 100 videos of ammo can stoves on YouTube, other places. You can make them however you want. There's no hard and fast rules. I did this one a little different with the Catalytic second burn chamber. You don't need to do that. You could simply cut the door, put the chimney in. You should put some sort of shelf in there between the fire and the chimney. Helps it burn, helps it draft better, but it's not necessary. Handles are really easy. I used a Dremel with a cutoff wheel to cut my door out. It cuts a little cleaner. I used a plasma cutter to cut my circle out on the top. It was just easier. And you may say to yourself, well, I don't have a plasma cutter. Or, you know, I've seen guys build these things with cutoff wheels, with disc grinders, angle grinders, drills. I've cut part of this ammo box even with just a pair of the airplane snips, the tin snips. Use what you have. They're really, really simple to make. The most expensive part of it is the ammo cans. And at a Army surplus store, you can pick them up used for $5-10. I need to let the stuff on the inside cure. I talked earlier about whether I was going to burn this today or not. I need to let it cure for 24 hours before I burn it. But the stove itself is done. So tomorrow, hopefully the wind will have died down. We'll be able to go outside and light this thing up and see how it actually burns. Okay, before I burned it, I went ahead and added these pieces of strap down here to the feet. Huge, huge difference. The last thing I want is to have this thing burning super hot where you can't touch it around all my backcountry gear and have an accident with it. So that was well worth it. A couple little pieces of strap stabilized that thing right up. And there it is with a little piece of pipe in it, ready to burn as soon as the silicone's dry. All right, guys, good morning. It is a spectacular, like, I don't know, 15 degrees outside. Still got a little frost on the grass. A little bit of snow going on. I got a little sawdust coated with motor oil. See, on uneven ground, it's tippy, but I would trust putting a frying pan on it, or I wouldn't have trusted that. All right, it's been burning for less than 5 minutes. I was able to put some bigger wood on it, but that is really going to be the fatal flaw with this size stove. You just can't put a very big piece of wood in it, so I wouldn't expect the burn to last very long. It might be good for cooking on. But keeping you warm all night long, you couldn't put a stick big in there long enough to last 30 minutes. And be up all night feeding the thing. This is a catalytic design, which means once the stove gets hot enough, it will start injecting hot air into it. It'll burn all the smoke off. But it's drafting good. It hasn't got hot enough yet to do that, but it isn't really putting out a ton of smoke, even how it is. So we're going to get this thing hot and keep putting wood on it till we get it cooking. We'll see how she does. So I'm having a little smoke on the stove itself, but I just painted it. I mean, it's new. It had factory paint on it. I'm going to consider that paint burning. It's not smoking. But look at that exhaust. You can see from the shadow. Maybe you can see. There is heat coming off of it, and just barely any smoke. So I'm calling this a success. I guess surprise, surprise, I have an ammo can that's about 4 times this big. I'm going to do the same exact thing on a much bigger scale. This might be good for a snow cave or just to cook dinner on, take the edge off, but you're not going to cook this all night long. There's no way you'd keep it going. The other one, you could put, a decent sized log in and actually, I think, burn it all night long, shut it down. But man, look at the clean burn this thing does once it actually gets hot. And I got her going. So total success. Hey, I'm going to be in my shop for a little while, guys. I'm locked down. Again, my wife had a positive corona test, so COVID, whatever the crap you guys want to call it. I don't have any symptoms. I'm doing just fine. I just can't go anywhere, so I'm going to be making some builds. working on another stove, and I am working on a kayak. That will be an upcoming video. I am super excited about it. It's going to open a lot of cool trips. Yeah, I had flame coming up to the chimney a minute ago. Anyway, so I've been sitting here watching this thing burn for probably 30 minutes, enjoying the sunshine. I know it's under 20 degrees, but man, it just feels good today to be out. And I've come to a conclusion with this stove. The principle of it works. You can do catalytic heat in such a small stove. The problem with it is I've taken up a third of the burn capacity inside the stove to where you have to sit here and feed this thing constantly. The principle, it works. But on such a small device, it just isn't worth it. So I am, after all this, going to, I can just open the top of this up, take all the catalytic parts out. I'm going to install a baffle. Just the piece that goes between the pipe and the fire. So the smoke has to go up and around to go up in it, and enlarge the capacity of this thing and just make a regular stove out of it. On the one that I make next, that will be, I don't know, 3 or 4 times bigger than this one, it actually makes sense because you could put enough wood in it to stock it up and actually burn it this way. These things just are so little, even though they work, it's just impractical unless you're just going to sit by this thing all day long and stuff sticks in it. So I guess we'll call this a small scale test that I get to keep and use for other things, because it really has worked. I had a pretty, just, 2 handfuls worth of wood, and I still have quite a bit of it left sitting here. And this thing's been burning for quite a while, but I've had to cut everything down into smaller pieces and just sit here and feed it constantly. Still burning. Still not smoking very much. So, live and learn, guys. That's why I do stuff like this, so I can figure things out. This is my YouTube education, and I'm just bringing you guys along for the ride. So thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing, all those that you have. If you haven't, give me a shot. What do we have to lose? Get out, explore. Get out, make things. And we'll catch you next time.